This is outrageous. I mean, honestly, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I thought it was a Babylon Bee article. It's not only totally unethical to discriminate against who gets shelter or medical treatment, since the vast majority of homeless people on the streets are either addicted to hard drugs or suffering mental illness. It might be illegal. Look, the underlying problem is that California is completely without leadership at every level of government. Governor Gavin Newsom refuses to shut down the homeless encampments, which are open drug scenes. Nearly 100% of the women that we interview in them have been sexually assaulted multiple times. The idea that you're not going to get those women the care that they need and you're going to put trans women in front of them is offensive. It's immoral. It's probably illegal. We just need to get everybody indoors. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Okay. So there's gubernatorial candidate Michael Schellenberg out in California. And he's upset about San Francisco Mayor London Breed. She has a plan that's gonna, well, she's looking at least the next over several years to take care of the transgender homeless population within the city, because many folks that are underneath the LGBTQ community end up on the streets for multiple reasons, many times shunned by society, including their families. So taking all that into account, and also thinking the way Fox News usually talks about homelessness, it's a little odd that they're now talking about how this is discriminatory towards certain homeless folks. The same homeless folks that they describe this way, the way Tucker Carlson on Fox News describes homeless folks.
Yeah, so the one thing you can't do is expel the junkies, not the homeless. Homeless makes it sound like some sort of protected class of protesters. No, they're junkies. They're people shooting up, breaking into cars to support their habit, selling themselves, pimping out women. They're junkies, okay? And they're on your kid's school lawn. Well, we can't intervene in that because it's always been that way. Just lower expectations, Karen. In New York City, police have just been ordered not to intervene when they see junkies shooting up on the sidewalk or in a park. Can't get in the way, and you shouldn't, because we've always had junkies in our park. Sam Adams was actually smoking meth.
So that's the junkies, the pimps, and the prostitutes that are shooting up on your kid's school lawn were a problem. Now it's not a problem. In fact, why are they being discriminated against for these trans folks? It's weird how, once there's a bunch of oppressed groups within our society or shunned groups, homeless, the unhoused, and then when it goes to trans folks and then minorities that are trans folks, it just gets worse and worse. So there's this a hierarchy of people that they're willing to hate on for certain reasons, and then of course for political purposes. Let's go to some of the details of this plan that has them so incensed. So on Monday, the mayor announced her 4-part plan that will end homelessness for that community by 2027. Here's those parts. $6 million will be dedicated to short-term rental subsidies, flexible financing assistance, and support of nonprofits. $500,000 to fund behavioral health services, at least 150 long-term housing subsidies, and a new permanent supportive housing site for LGBTQ plus youth. Oh my God, how dare she? So one more part, Rick, before you jump in, because Schellenberger at the top of that, who's running for governor, don't forget that because he's not gonna let you forget it. He was asked, okay, so he said it could potentially be illegal to discriminate like this. If people have issues with the plan, come up with your issues for the plan. But the problem is, once he was asked, then what would you do about it? I think you might, just want you to listen to his answer, non-answer, and how it actually has everything to do with his campaign. Watch.
So what avenues have you gone down to prove this is illegal, and what's your plan to fix the problem?
Well, look at what she's saying. She's saying we're gonna get that handful of transgender homeless people into shelter or housing by 2027. So she's assuming that people are gonna stay on the street for another 5 years. This is outrageous. We have people dying of murder. They're being run over by cars. They're killing each other. They're raping each other. When I'm elected governor in November of this year, and go to Schellenbergerforgovernor.com to see the details of this, I'm gonna require that people sleep inside. This is not rocket science. People can't sleep outside.
That's his plan, Rick. He's gonna require that people sleep inside. Go to michaelschellenberger.com. I'm gonna make people sleep inside.
It's a great slogan. Okay, I want to take in every homeless expert. So people that have studied this and gone over this have disagreed with his policies. Surprise. One person named Jennifer Friedenbach says, like an internet troll that's written a book, is how she put his latest work. he is a single issue candidate. Now, let me be very clear. As someone who's lived in Los Angeles for a while, 2 stints, this is my second now, there is a problem, okay? But the problem is they don't have the solutions. I saw today that Elon Musk endorsed Rick Caruso for mayor. Their whole plan is to criminalize homelessness further, more than it is now. I do agree that, like, yes, maybe some have problems, and maybe some. Let me be clear on this, and I'm gonna put this point further at the end of the sentence. Some do need some sort of treatment, but a lot of people are just broke. A lot of people don't have a home over their heads because it costs a fortune to live here. Who do you think did that to them? And now Schellenberger's whole thing is like, oh, well, here's my plan. Give me money, go to Schellenberger, blah, blah, blah. Like, fine, whatever. He believes in the shelter system, not in providing people with houses, though it has worked in other countries, which can be used as a case study against this schmucko's plan. He's like, oh, you know what we should do? If they don't accept housing and they live on the street, we'll throw them in jail. Why? Because all they could do is go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy a tent? That's all they can afford? And because Republicans voted against gas prices, a lot of people can't go to work or they can't afford anything else, so they sleep out of their car. So that's their means of having like some sort of comfort of a house. This isn't surprising to me, considering that when you look at this guy's history as being a single issue candidate, when he's actually branched out, he's like, I don't like the Dems and I don't like the Republicans, so I'm an independent, which is like the cool thing to do, except for him, it's not. So when he's like, this is discriminatory, when they asked him about critical race theory, or as Herschel Walker puts it, CTR, he says, no, it's terrible and that's a bad thing. And he rails against critical race theory, he rails against wokeism. Like, these are dog whistles for the modern day Republican Party. On top of this, he also goes after windmills. You know who went after windmills? Oh, do we have to really put 2 and 2 together here? That would be Donald Trump. He was the one who railed against windmills and continues to rail against windmills in the year 2022, thinking it causes like cancer and some stupid stuff. So I am begging everybody, there are way better candidates. And do I think Gavin Newsom is my guy? No. Did I vote for him in the recall? Yeah. You know who my other choice was? Larry freaking Elder, who is a total racist, who is heavily endorsed by Donald Trump. So does LA need better leadership? Yes. But it needs better leadership who will help out these people that are discriminated against, yes, and also just can't afford anything.
Yeah, let's keep it real. And the lack of answers is because they actually don't care about the homeless community, but they want to use trans homeless to pit 2 more groups against each other yet again for political purposes.
Oh, real quick, he's also a climate denier. He's also a climate change denier. Yeah. That's another thing, being a climate scientist.